Damian Wayne is the perfect comic book character. Why? Because he's often depicted as a 10 to 12-year-old boy who runs around with a katana fighting criminals at night. He is a perfect character considering how ridiculous comics can be. Now, all jokes aside, it's pretty amazing how popular Damian Wayne has become, given the fact that he's a relatively new character. For reference, Batman was created in 1939 and the first Robin, Dick Grayson, was created in 1940. Damian Wayne, the fifth Robin, was created in 2006. And in case you aren't familiar with the character, he started out as a complete sociopath. Compared to other members in the Bat family, he has a much weaker moral compass as he's killed a few people in his adolescence. Given the fact that he's a relatively new character and he's shown a blatant disregard for human life, it's pretty amazing how popular the character has become. He's even going to be featured in the new Batman the Brave and the Bold movie in James Gunn's DCU. To me, this raises an interesting question. Why are sociopathic characters like Damian Wayne so popular? In this video, I'm going to go over why Damian Wayne has risen so much in popularity and how you can develop a sociopathic character of your own. But before we move on, please be sure to like and subscribe to Reverb Comics. You do not want to miss out on our awesome content. Before I get into why everyone loves this murderous child assassin, I'm going to give you a brief rundown on this character's history in case you are not familiar. Damian Wayne had a very bizarre adolescence. Damian is the son of Talia al Ghul and Bruce Wayne. Hence, he's the grandson of Ra's al Ghul and he's the son of Batman. Right off the bat, he's the potential inheritor of the wealth and resources of the League of Assassins and Wayne Enterprises. Instead of being conceived under normal circumstances, his mother drugged Batman, got intimate with him, gave birth to Damian 9 months later, and kept his existence hidden from Bruce for more or less a decade. Ra's al Ghul always wanted Batman to be his successor and take his place as the leader of the League of Assassins. However, Batman always refused, largely over their disagreement on killing criminals and him prioritizing keeping Gotham safe. Hence, Ra's and Talia al Ghul schemed to get an offspring from Batman so that they can unify the Wayne and the League of Assassin lineage. Again, I just love how ridiculous comics can be. Before Damian Wayne became a teenager, he became an expert martial artist who was trained to kill thanks to his teachings from the League of Assassins. When Damian was around the age of 10 to 12, Talia reveals his existence to Batman and leaves Damian with him in an effort to disrupt his work. As you'd expect, Damian and his dad got off to a really rough start. Damian came off as a spoiled, violent, and aggressive child with no common sense when it came to social behavior. He fought with Tim Drake in an effort to get his place as Robin to get his father's approval. In a weird and twisted way, Damian thought he had to kill any rivals when it came to getting Batman to like him. Hence, in a misguided attempt, he planned on killing Tim Drake to win Batman over. As a way to prove himself, he later patrolled as Robin and killed the villain known as Spook. Of course, Batman was furious with Damian when he figured this out. As a consequence of this, Damian needed serious social reform. For a long time, members of the Bat family kept a close eye on him and tried to teach him right from wrong. Eventually, Bruce Wayne died at the hands of Darkseid in the Final Crisis event written by Grant Morrison. This led Dick Grayson to ditch his Nightwing persona and take on the Batman mantle. As revealed in the Battle for the Castle storyline, Dick had to do this since Gotham desperately needed Batman to keep the city together. Later on, Dick Grayson had to take on Damian Wayne as Robin because of his behavioral issues. At first, Tim Drake was furious that he lost the Robin mantle to Damian, but later got over it after Dick told him that he saw Tim as an equal. Tim Drake graduated from Robin to Red Robin and traveled across the world to find Bruce. He was somehow still convinced that Bruce Wayne was still alive. Both Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne fought side by side as Batman and Robin until Bruce Wayne eventually came back from the dead. Because it's comics. By the way, that Batman and Robin run was really amazing. I highly recommend it. It flipped the whole Batman trope on its head in the sense that Robin was the dark and brooding character and Batman was a light and optimistic person who balanced out Robin's bad mood. Together, Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne went on to fight Professor Pig, Black Mask, the Jason Todd version of Red Hood, and many other villains. I'm kind of going on a tangent here. I really thought it was funny when Damian Wayne acted like a businessman and tried to impress the board of directors at Wayne Enterprises. As luck would have it, Tim Drake was named heir to Wayne Enterprises and not Damian Wayne. When Wayne Enterprises ran into financial problems, Damian Wayne decided to sue Tim Drake over the issues Wayne Enterprises was having. In other words, a 12-year-old boy sued another man over the financial issues that a billion or trillion-dollar company was having. Again, I just love how ridiculous comics are. Now that we know who Damian Wayne is, let's dive into why we love this character so much. Number 1, we can't really blame the guy. Comics and graphic novels are very similar to TV shows in the sense that they are very empathetic mediums. For this reason, people get behind anti-heroes and immoral characters like Tony Soprano, Don Draper, and Loki. In my opinion, people get behind Damian for the same reason why we get behind these fan-favorite bad guys. Tony Soprano came from a dysfunctional family and was practically raised by the mob. Don Draper was made to feel like an unlovable creature as a child and developed the perfect persona to distance himself from all of the crappy things he did behind everyone's back. And Loki was made to feel inferior to his older brother Thor, and as a consequence, schemed to get the throne of Asgard and conquer New York. When done right, these long mediums can help us get an understanding of where these characters came from and why they turned out the way they did. When it comes to Damian Wayne and his sociopathic nature, what did you expect? Instead of coming from a healthy family with solid foundations, he found out he was conceived as a ploy to bring Batman over to the League of Assassins, and he was trained to kill since adolescence. Of course, this kid was going to have problems. And I mean, sure, while this may or may not excuse the bad things that he's done, like killing the villain Spook, we can at least understand why he did the things that he did. Nobody in the League of Assassins taught him right from wrong. He was trained on how to kill people with a katana. Of course, this guy was going to make mistakes. And to make things worse, for the first decade of his life, his father was missing. Now, keep in mind, this was not Batman's fault. Talia kept Damian's existence from Bruce hidden. Despite this, Batman was not very warm and loving to his son when he entered his life. Hence, from an emotional standpoint, we cannot blame Damian for his misguided attempts at getting his dad's approval. And yes, his attempts were deeply, deeply misguided. I mean, trying to kill Tim Drake to take his place as Robin is psychotic. But again, we can't really blame the guy since no one taught him right from wrong. Hence, when you're developing a sociopathic character, build up as much empathy as you possibly can and flesh out the character's backstory. This is so that we can see why they turned out the way they did. Number 2, take advantage of the character's unpredictable nature. Part of the fun of anti-heroes and villains is that we have no idea when it comes to what they're going to do next, and Damian Wayne is no exception. The fun of Damian Wayne is that we cannot predict his next move. Any day he might continue on the path to redemption, or he might say screw it and go back to being a killer. Grant Morrison really took advantage of this aspect of the character. In the comics, Damian was about to kill Dick Grayson. At first, we all thought Damian was regressing back to his old ways. As it turns out, Damian was actually being controlled by Deathstroke. A villain by the name of Flamingo shot Damian in the back, and this temporarily paralyzes him. Thanks to this injury, his mother Talia replaces his spine, puts a monitor in his body, and connects it to his brain, which allows the owner of the technology to control his every movement. Talia, always being the person wanting to cause pain to the Bat family, gave control of the monitor to Deathstroke. And of course, Deathstroke, being the guy who blames Dick Grayson and the rest of the Teen Titans over the death of his son, took this opportunity to try and kill Dick Grayson. Again, I just love how ridiculous comics can be. In typical comics fashion, things went back to status quo. Both Dick and Damian defeated Deathstroke, and Damian got the monitor removed from his body. The point is, this was a brilliant move by Grant Morrison, since for a second we thought that Damian was regressing back to his old ways. Hence, when you're developing a sociopathic character like Damian, make it seem like anything can happen. At the end of the day, a character is just a summation of what they do. So if nothing's off the table for that character, you'll have an audience eagerly waiting to see what he or she will do next. Number 3, use humor to keep things engaging. While Damian is not my favorite Bat family character, he is definitely one of the funniest characters in all of DC Comics. Like I mentioned before, he was trained to kill before he hit puberty. He learned he was conceived as a scheme to foil with Batman. He tried to kill Tim Drake as a misguided attempt to win his dad's approval. And his psycho mom put a monitor in his spine to control his movements. His upbringing was absolutely psychotic. As a consequence of this, it's no wonder why the guy has such poor social skills. A lot of writers at DC Comics took advantage of this in the best way possible. When done right, a character's lack of social awareness can be used as an excellent source of comedy. Damian's lack of people skills has been used as an excellent source of humor in several Batman and Teen Titans stories. And oddly enough, the funny and odd stuff that he does helps us empathize with the character. When he completely misreads the room and does something absurd, we oftentimes forget about his violent nature and the scary stuff that he is capable of. Hence, when you're developing a character that does immoral things, inject as much humor as you can to balance out the dark and violent side of that character. Number 4. In a lot of ways, he redeemed himself. Despite how Damian disrespected Batman's no-killing rule and was pretty antagonistic to the rest of the Bat family, he became a better version of himself. In the New 52 continuity, Damian made the ultimate sacrifice move and died protecting Gotham. According to Grant Morrison, he saves the world. He does his job as Robin. He dies an absolute hero. Talia al Ghul led a criminal organization called Leviathan to cause chaos and disruption to Gotham. The henchman known as Heretic ended up killing Damian Wayne. For those of you who don't know, Heretic is a genetically modified clone of Damian that has an adult body with immense strength and Damian's infantile face. I'll say it before and I'll say it again. Comics are absolutely ridiculous sometimes. In typical comics fashion, Damian does come back from the dead. He even got superpowers after his resurrection, but this proved to be short-lived. Anyways, the point is, Damian redeemed himself by sacrificing his life to keep Gotham safe. Does he still have flaws? Of course. In my opinion, I'd say the child sociopath came a long way from killing a villain in his first night in Gotham to making the ultimate sacrifice play to protect everyone in Gotham. But what do you think? Do you think that Damian fully redeemed himself? What do you think it is that makes sociopaths like Damian so popular? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe to Reaver Comics so that you do not miss out on our awesome content. Stay groovy.